Today's major domestic Trump story centers on the Supreme Court. Reuters reports that the court has largely backed President Trump's restrictive immigration agenda, including decisions that allow the administration to end temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians, revive border restrictions on asylum seekers, and expand deportation authority in key cases. This is one of the most consequential Trump policy stories of the week, because immigration is not just one issue in his second-term agenda. It is the central engine of his domestic policy. According to Reuters, the conservative majority Supreme Court has repeatedly sided with the administration in cases involving mass deportations, asylum limits, and legal protections for immigrants. The rulings include allowing the administration to terminate TPS protections for Haitians and Syrians, reviving a metering policy that limits asylum seekers at the U.S.-Mexico border, and lowering the threshold for denying re-entry to lawful permanent residents suspected of crimes. In plain English, the court is giving Trump more room to execute the immigration crackdown he promised. The administration frames these rulings as victories for law and order. Trump officials argue that immigration protections have been stretched too far, that asylum rules have been abused, and that the federal government needs stronger authority to remove people who do not have legal status or who fall outside protected categories. Critics see something very different. They argue the court is enabling a sweeping rollback of immigrant protections, placing hundreds of thousands of people at risk of deportation, and allowing the administration to reshape immigration policy through aggressive enforcement rather than new legislation. Temporary protected status is especially important. TPS allows people from countries facing war, disaster, or extraordinary instability to live and work temporarily in the United States. Ending TPS for large groups can instantly change people's lives. People who had work permits, jobs, families, churches, schools, and homes can suddenly face the possibility of removal. That is why today's story is not just legal, it is deeply human. For supporters, this is enforcement. For critics, this is mass displacement. The political stakes are enormous. Trump can now tell supporters that the courts are validating his immigration strategy. That matters because court victories create momentum. They also make it harder for opponents to stop the policy through lawsuits alone. But this also raises the stakes for Congress. If lawmakers disagree with the court's direction, they may need to pass legislation. That is difficult in a polarized environment, especially when immigration is one of the most emotionally charged issues in American politics. What to watch next? 1. Whether the administration immediately accelerates removals of people who lose TPS protections. 2. Whether immigrant rights groups file new lawsuits focused on due process. 3. Whether Congress attempts to restore protections through legislation. 4. Whether the Supreme Court soon rules on Trump's birthright citizenship push, which Reuters says remains a key pending case. Bottom line, the Supreme Court is becoming one of Trump's most important partners in immigration policy. Supporters call it restoring control. Critics call it dismantling protections. Either way, today's rulings could reshape the lives of hundreds of thousands of immigrants and define the next phase of Trump's domestic agenda.